In a galaxy teetering on the brink of chaos, the stakes had never been higher. The ethereal aliens were fighting a desperate war against the brutal Bruners, a race of ruthless insectoids bent on total domination. As their home world faced imminent destruction, the ethereals made a bold decision. They sought the assistance of a new power on the galactic stage, humanity. Captain Nathan Porter stood on the bridge of the UESS Relentless, his brow furrowed in thought. The sleek human ship had just emerged from warp space near the Elysian home world, where the ethereals had summoned him. He scanned the chaos unfolding in the distance, explosions, ships twisting in agony, and the ominous shadow of the Brunner fleet looming large. The ethereals had promised advanced technology in exchange for human soldiers. With no time to lose, Nathan rallied his fleet. He knew they were outnumbered, but the chance to prove humanity's mettle against the oppressive Bruners was too compelling to ignore. As the ships maneuvered through the wreckage of war, Nathan's tactical officer relayed information about their surroundings. "Captain, we're approaching the Elysian formation. Their commander, Primus, is waiting for us." Nathan felt a surge of adrenaline as they prepared for the confrontation. Primus greeted them with condescension, his holographic form shimmering with disdain. "I trust your primitive ships can keep up with our advanced fleet," he scoffed. Nathan's resolve hardened at the commander's arrogance. The humans were not here to play second fiddle, they were here to fight. Ignoring Primus's orders to maintain a rear position, Nathan positioned his fleet at the forefront, ready to face the incoming wave of Brunner ships. As thousands of insectoid vessels descended upon them, Primus watched smugly, convinced that humanity would falter. Little did he know, humans thrived under pressure. As the battle began, chaos erupted on the bridge. The sounds of weapons firing and alarms blaring filled the air. Amidst the frenzy, a distress signal pierced through. "Captain, we're receiving an emergency transmission from an Elysian ship. They're under heavy fire and require immediate assistance." Nathan's heart raced. He glanced at the tactical display and saw the besieged vessel isolated on the far side of the battlefield. "Plot an intercept course to the Elysian ship," he ordered, overriding Primus's command. "We can't leave our allies to die." Primus's voice crackled with irritation. "Captain Porter, you are risking everything. Maintain formation." But Nathan's mind was set. He could not abandon those in need. With a small contingent of human ships following him, Nathan raced toward the Elysian vessel. As they drew closer, the sight was grim. The once majestic ship drifted, riddled with scorch marks, a testament to the brutality of the Brunner assault. "Form a defensive perimeter," Nathan commanded. The human ships surged forward, their weapons primed and ready. They unleashed a barrage of fire upon the Brunner fighters, pushing them back and giving the Elysian ship a glimmer of hope. The ethereals watched in awe as the human ships fought valiantly, absorbing the enemy fire and retaliating with precise strikes. Nathan met Primus's gaze through the communications channel, unflinching. "We will not abandon our allies," he declared. But the fight was far from over. As Nathan's forces pushed back the Bruners, a wave of dread washed over him. Reports of incoming warp signatures filled the air. Multiple Brunner dreadnoughts emerging from hyperspace. The view screen displayed massive ships bristling with weapons, their very presence darkening the battlefield. Primus's confidence faltered. "All ships retreat immediately." Nathan shook his head. "Negative, Commander. We won't run from this fight. All human ships, engage the dreadnoughts directly." The Elysian ships hesitated, fear etched on their faces. But as they watched humanity charge into battle with unwavering resolve, their uncertainty transformed into courage. The ensuing clash was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The human vessels, though small compared to the dreadnoughts, danced through enemy fire with incredible agility. They struck at the Brunner ship's weak points, quickly learning the patterns of their enemies. In this chaotic symphony of war, humanity stood tall. Each explosion fueled their determination. Each victory ignited a fire in their hearts. Together with the ethereals, They fought to reclaim the galaxy from the brink of destruction. The tide of battle shifted as the humans and ethereals coordinated their attacks. The once fearful Elysian ships rallied behind their newfound allies, inspired by the audacity of the human tactics. With Nathan leading the charge, they pressed the attack, determined to push back the Bruna menace. As Nathan maneuvered the UESS Relentless through a hail of enemy fire, he felt a surge of pride. His crew, though inexperienced, fought with the ferocity of veterans. Weapons officers shouted target coordinates, and the navigation crew deftly guided their ship through the chaos, avoiding destruction with nimble maneuvers. "Captain, we're inflicting heavy damage on the Bruna formations," the tactical officer reported, his voice laced with excitement. Nathan nodded, but he knew they couldn't let their guard down. The human ships, emboldened by their success, launched a concentrated assault on one of the dreadnoughts. It was a colossal beast, and as their weapons rained down, Nathan watched in awe as the Bruna ship began to falter. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the battlefield. One of the dreadnoughts had succumbed to the relentless barrage of human firepower. It erupted into a ball of flame, debris scattering across the void. Cheers erupted on the bridge of the Relentless. The humans and ethereals had gained a critical victory, and with it came a newfound sense of hope. Nathan turned to his crew. "We can win this. Keep pressing forward." As they pressed their advantage, the Brunas found themselves in disarray. The previously formidable insectoid fleet began to retreat, their formations crumbling under the pressure of the coordinated assault. In the chaos, a young Elysian pilot, Mira, found her courage. She had watched the humans fight fiercely, and their bravery inspired her. "I'm with you," she shouted over the comms as she aligned her ship alongside Nathan's. Together, they formed a duo, darting in and out of enemy fire, creating openings for their allies. As the battle raged on, Nathan's tactical mind worked overtime. He analyzed the Bruna formations, seeking to exploit their weaknesses. "Concentrate fire on their command ship. If we take it down, the rest will scatter." The fleet coordinated their assault, focusing their fire on the Bruna command ship. Nathan felt the tension rise as the ship began to falter, its shields flickering. Just as victory seemed within reach, a new wave of Bruna fighters surged into the fray, intent on turning the tide once again. "More incoming," shouted the sensor officer. "They're trying to flank us." Nathan's heart raced. "Reinforce our rear defenses. We can't let them encircle us." The crew sprang into action, their training kicking in as they prepared to defend against the encroaching Bruna ships. The UESS Relentless shook as enemy fire struck the hull, but Nathan remained resolute. In the midst of the chaos, Mira's voice broke through the static. "I'll take care of the flanking fighters. Cover me." Without hesitation, she maneuvered her ship into the thick of the Bruna swarm. Nathan watched in admiration as she darted between enemy vessels, her skill shining through the tumult. She weaved through their formations, her weapons firing with deadly precision. "Mira, be careful," Nathan urged through the comms, but she was undeterred. The fire in her eyes reflected the determination of all those fighting against oppression. With the distraction she created, the human fleet pressed forward, taking advantage of the opening. As they regrouped, Nathan called out, "Now. Push the attack. Let's finish this." The combined forces of humans and ethereals surged forward, their weapons blazing. Together, they unleashed a relentless onslaught, driving the Brunas back. With each enemy ship that fell, their confidence soared. Finally, after a fierce struggle, the Bruna command ship succumbed to the onslaught. A massive explosion marked its end, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The remaining Brunas faltered, their once formidable ranks crumbling in despair. In that moment, a profound silence fell over the battlefield. The humans and ethereals looked at one another, realizing the significance of their victory. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged triumphant, a testament to their strength and unity. Nathan felt a swell of pride as he gazed at his crew. They had risen to the occasion, proving that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The tide had turned, but this was just the beginning. Together, they would reclaim their galaxy and inspire others to rise against oppression. In the wake of their victory, a sense of camaraderie blossomed among the human and Elysian crews. The battlefield, once a site of despair and destruction, now buzzed with the energy of triumph. Nathan, wary but resolute, surveyed the aftermath from the bridge of the UESS Relentless. "Captain, the ethereal fleet is signaling," the communications officer announced. Nathan nodded, gesturing for the feed to be displayed. The holographic form of Primus materialized, his expression no longer laced with disdain, but rather one of admiration. "You have proven your worth, humans," Primus began, his tone solemn yet respectful. "Your bravery has changed the tide of this war. We are grateful." Nathan felt a swell of pride at the acknowledgement. "We fight for freedom, not just for ourselves, but for all who face tyranny," he replied, meeting Primus's gaze with conviction. As the crew of the Relentless celebrated, the sounds of laughter and relief filled the air. Mira, her cheeks flushed with exhilaration, joined Nathan on the bridge. "Did you see the look on their faces when we took down that command ship?" she beamed. "It was a moment of glory, for sure," Nathan replied, a smile breaking through his earlier fatigue. "But we must remain vigilant. This victory is just a step forward." In the days that followed, the United Forces began to strategize their next move. They gathered intelligence on the Brunner strongholds and assessed their resources, determined to capitalize on their newfound momentum. However, Nathan knew the fight was far from over. Reports came in detailing the remaining Brunner fleets gathering in a nearby sector, their resolve unbroken. The whispers of their cruel tactics spread fear throughout the galaxy. "Mira, we need to bolster our defenses," Nathan instructed, a sense of urgency creeping into his voice. "We have to anticipate their next move." Mira nodded, her determination unwavering. "I'll coordinate with the Elysian pilots to ensure we have a solid defense around our base. We can't let them catch us off guard." As preparations began, Nathan found himself reflecting on the strength of unity that had brought them this far. Humans, ethereals, and Elysian pilots now fought side by side, a tapestry woven from diverse strengths and experiences. But as the days turned into weeks, the haunting specter of the Brunners loomed larger. They regrouped, their forces rallying under a new banner of vengeance. Nathan's heart raced as he watched their fleet grow, the darkness of their intentions palpable in the air. "Captain, we've intercepted a Brunner transmission," the communications officer reported. "They're planning a massive counter-offensive, targeting our joint command base." The news struck Nathan like a thunderbolt. "We must act fast. Prepare our forces for an immediate defensive maneuver," he ordered, determination settling in his bones. In the war room, Nathan stood before a holographic map of the sector, surrounded by ethereal and Elysian commanders. "They'll strike hard, but we won't falter. We've shown them our strength, and now we'll defend what we've built together." The room filled with nods of agreement as strategies were discussed. They would fortify their defenses and create a trap for the Brunners, leveraging their tactics against them. Nathan felt the weight of leadership resting heavily on his shoulders, but he embraced it. As the countdown to battle began, the crew of the Relentless prepared for the onslaught. Each crew member was aware of the stakes, their hearts steeled against the fear of the coming storm. When the day arrived, Nathan stood on the bridge, gazing at the assembled forces. "Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for the galaxy," he declared, his voice resonating with conviction. "Together, we are unstoppable." As they faced the approaching Brunner fleet, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. Nathan felt a sense of unity among his crew, a belief that no matter the outcome, they were in this fight together. The battlefield lay before Nathan and his fleet, a vast expanse of stars that concealed the approaching Brunner forces. Reports indicated that they were gathering, a mass of dreadnoughts and fighters ready to unleash their fury. The tension was palpable, a coiled spring of energy waiting to snap. "Captain, the Bruners are making their approach," the tactical officer warned, his eyes darting across the tactical display. "They'll be within firing range in less than 15 minutes. Nathan took a deep breath, focusing on the swirling emotions in his gut. "Prepare all weapons systems. We need to be ready to hit hard as soon as they're in range." On the bridge, Mira stood by his side, her determination palpable. "We've trained for this. We can hold them off, Nathan. We've faced worse odds before." He nodded, appreciating her unwavering spirit. "You're right. We can't let fear dictate our actions. We fight for those who can't fight for themselves." As the minutes ticked by, the tension grew thicker. Nathan watched the screen as the Brunner ships loomed closer, their silhouettes darkening the stars. The dreadnoughts, colossal and menacing, led the charge, flanked by swarms of smaller fighters. "Steady, everyone," Nathan said, his voice steadying the crew. "Stay focused on the mission. We know their tactics, and we'll use that to our advantage." Finally, the moment arrived. Enemy ships entering firing range. The tactical officer shouted, adrenaline surging through the bridge. "All ships, prepare to engage." The chaos erupted as Nathan ordered the first strike. Beams of energy shot forth, illuminating the dark void as they found their targets among the advancing Brunner ships. Explosions rippled through the enemy lines, and the humans and ethereals pressed their advantage. "Keep firing. Don't let up," Nathan commanded, his heart pounding with each impact. The bridge reverberated with the sounds of combat, crew members shouting orders and reports flowing in like a tidal wave. The combined forces fought valiantly, but the Bruners retaliated with ferocity. Enemy fire rained down, striking the hull of the UES as relentless with deafening force. Alarms blared as the ship shuddered under the impact, but Nathan remained resolute. "Status report," he shouted, gripping the armrests of his command chair. "Shields holding at 70%, but we've lost 2 fighters." The tactical officer replied, urgency lacing his voice. "Divert power to our shields. We need to protect our flanks," Nathan ordered, his tactical mind racing as he calculated their next move. The battlefield turned into a chaotic dance of destruction as the human fleet maneuvered around the Brunner ships. They formed tight formations, their weapons blazing, but the relentless pressure from the Bruners was unyielding. As Nathan surveyed the battlefield, he noticed a pattern in the enemy formations. "They're trying to encircle us. Mira, we need to break through their lines." With a determined nod, Mira activated the ship's maneuvering thrusters. "On it, Captain. All ships, prepare for a hard flank to the right. We're breaking through." With a sudden burst of speed, the Relentless led the charge, weaving through enemy fire and breaking the encirclement. The maneuver sent shockwaves through the Brunner ranks, throwing them into disarray. "Now's our chance. Concentrate fire on the nearest dreadnought," Nathan shouted, the thrill of battle igniting his spirit. The human and ethereal ships rallied, their resolve stronger than ever. Explosions erupted around them as they unleashed their full might on the Brunner dreadnought, tearing through its defenses. Nathan's heart raced as he watched the massive ship begin to falter, its once imposing presence crumbling under the relentless assault. But just as victory seemed within reach, a new threat emerged from the depths of the Brunner fleet, a colossal warship unlike anything Nathan had ever seen. Its hull was covered in jagged spikes, a testament to the brutal designs of the Brunner race. "Captain, we have a new enemy approaching," the tactical officer warned, eyes wide with disbelief. "That ship is massive." Nathan's heart sank. This was no ordinary ship. It was a flagship, the heart of the Brunner fleet. "We need to take it down before it can unleash its weapons," he shouted, his mind racing to devise a plan. As the monstrous ship approached, the atmosphere turned electric with anticipation. The combined forces of humans and ethereals steeled themselves, ready to face this new challenge head-on. They had already faced insurmountable odds, and they would not back down now. "Prepare all weapons. We're going to hit it hard," Nathan commanded, his voice unwavering. The air crackled with tension as the fleets prepared for what would become a defining moment in the battle. They were ready to fight not just for survival, but for the very future of the galaxy. The colossal Bruna flagship loomed ominously in the darkness, a testament to the insectoid race's brutal ingenuity. Nathan's pulse quickened as he stared at the enormous ship on the viewscreen, its dark hull glistening with malice. This was the heart of the Bruna fleet, and taking it down was their only hope for victory. Status report. Nathan Bart rallying his crew. The bridge hummed with energy as they prepared for the fight of their lives. "All ships, prepare to engage the flagship," the tactical officer shouted, determination lacing his voice. "We need to target its weak points and break through its defenses." Mira stood at Nathan's side, her eyes focused on the screen. "We can't let it get close. Its weaponry will decimate our forces. We need to strike first." Nathan nodded, his mind racing with strategies. "Okay, we'll split our forces. Half will engage the flagship, while the other half will cover us from the smaller Bruna ships. We can't afford to lose anyone." With a roar of affirmation from the crew, Nathan watched as the human and Elysian pilots launched their ships into the fray. The Relentless led the charge, weaving through enemy fire as they advanced toward the flagship. "Captain, incoming fire," the tactical officer shouted, urgency lacing his tone. "Evasive maneuvers. We can't let them pin us down," Nathan shouted, adrenaline coursing through his veins. The ship shuddered as enemy blasts struck its shields, but they held firm, absorbing the energy with a pulsating glow. "Fighters, maintain distance from the flagship," Mira commanded, her voice steady. "Focus on taking out the smaller vessels first. We can't let them overwhelm us." As the battle raged on, the Relentless and its allies concentrated their fire on the smaller Bruna ships, dismantling their formations one by one. The explosion of enemy vessels painted the stars with flashes of brilliant light, but the flagship remained unscathed, its imposing presence growing ever closer. "Captain, we need to penetrate the flagship's defenses," the tactical officer urged. "Target their energy conduits." Nathan's heart raced as he watched the tactical display, the image of the flagship shifting to reveal its weak points. "Prepare torpedoes. Let's show them what we're made of." The crew worked in unison, loading the torpedoes with precision. "Torpedoes ready," Mira called out, her eyes locked on the flagship. "Fire," Nathan commanded, a fierce determination in his voice. The torpedoes shot forward, slicing through the void, their trails shimmering like shooting stars. Nathan held his breath as they struck the flagship, causing shockwaves to ripple through its hull. Explosions erupted, sending debris spiraling into the void. Direct hit. "The flagship's shields are weakening," the tactical officer exclaimed, excitement surging through the bridge. "Press the attack," Nathan shouted, his heart racing with adrenaline. "Don't give them a moment to recover." The Relentless surged forward, flanked by Elysian fighters. They unleashed a barrage of fire, targeting the damaged sections of the flagship. Nathan felt a thrill of exhilaration as they pressed their advantage, but he knew the battle was far from over. "Captain, incoming fighters," the tactical officer warned. "They're flanking us." "Damn it, Mira, take us evasive," Nathan commanded, gripping the armrests of his chair. The Relentless twisted and turned, narrowly avoiding enemy fire. The battle was a chaotic ballet of destruction, and Nathan had to keep his focus. "Reroute power to the aft shields. We need to protect our rear," Nathan ordered, his heart pounding with the weight of leadership. "Power diverted," the tactical officer replied, urgency in his voice. As the Elysian fighters engaged the enemy, Nathan glanced at the viewscreen, the sight of the flagship's massive hull looming ever closer. "We're not done yet. We need to get in close." "Closing in, Captain," Mira confirmed, her determination unwavering. With a sudden surge, The Relentless pushed forward, weaving through enemy fire as they closed the distance. The flagship fired its massive energy cannons, the beams of light illuminating the darkness as they sliced through the void. "Brace for impact," Nathan shouted, gripping the edge of his command chair. The Relentless shuddered as the beams struck, the shields glowing brightly before absorbing the force. "Shields holding at 50%, the tactical officer reported, urgency lacing his tone. "We can't take another hit like that." "Keep firing. We need to break through," Nathan commanded, his heart racing as they maneuvered closer. Finally, they were within range. Nathan's hands tightened around the controls, his breath steadying as he prepared for the final push. "All hands, prepare for a full assault on the flagship's hull. We're going in." The crew rolled with determination as they unleashed everything they had, beams of energy lancing through the air toward the flagship. Nathan felt a surge of hope as the flagship's hull began to buckle under their onslaught. But just as victory seemed within reach, a blinding flash erupted from the flagship's core. Nathan's heart dropped as the energy surged forth, a wave of destructive force sweeping toward them. "Captain, incoming blast. Evasive maneuvers," the tactical officer shouted, panic echoing through the bridge. "Divert power to forward shields. Now," Nathan commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos. The blast struck with overwhelming force, sending the Relentless spiraling through the void. Alarms blared, and the ship trembled as the crew fought to regain control. Nathan gripped the console, his heart racing with fear and determination. "Status report," he shouted, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Shields down to 20%. We've sustained heavy damage," the tactical officer reported, urgency lacing his voice. "Focus on repairs. Get us back in the fight," Nathan ordered, determination burning in his chest. They couldn't afford to give up now. As the crew scrambled to make repairs, Nathan's eyes remained fixed on the flagship. "We can't let them get away. Prepare for another assault." The crew worked tirelessly, patching up the damage and restoring power to the weapon systems. With every passing moment, Nathan felt the weight of their mission pressing on him. "Captain, we're ready," Mira shouted, her voice cutting through the tension. "Let's finish this," Nathan commanded, a fierce determination igniting within him. The Relentless surged forward, the energy of the crew fueling their resolve. They unleashed a barrage of fire on the flagship, their combined strength crushing against the dark hull. With a deafening roar, the flagship shuddered, its defenses crumbling under the relentless assault. Nathan felt a surge of hope as the flagship's hull began to fracture, pieces of debris flying into the void. "Keep pushing. We're almost there," Nathan shouted, his heart racing with adrenaline. The crew poured every ounce of energy into the assault, and with one final thunderous explosion, the flagship shattered, its remains scattering through the void. A collective cheer erupted from the bridge, the sound echoing through the ship. "We did it," Mira exclaimed, a bright smile lighting up her face. Nathan's heart swelled with pride. "This victory belongs to all of us," he said, his voice steady and resolute. "We fought together, and together we will continue to stand against tyranny." But as they celebrated their victory, Nathan knew the battle was far from over. The Brunner forces still lingered in the shadows, their hunger for revenge unquenchable. The galaxy remained on the brink of chaos, and they had to be ready for whatever came next. In the aftermath of their hard-fought victory, the mood aboard the Relentless was a mix of elation and wariness. Nathan stood on the bridge, looking out at the debris field left by the destroyed Brunner flagship. The once mighty vessel lay in pieces, a testament to their strength, but the silence that followed the chaos felt unsettling. "Captain, we've received reports from the Elysian scouts," Mira said, her brow furrowed with concern. "The remaining Brunner fleets are regrouping. They're not finished with us yet." Nathan clenched his jaw, the reality of their situation settling in. "They will come back for vengeance," he replied, steeling himself the fight ahead. We can't let them catch us off guard again. As the crew began to assess their damage and repair the ship, Nathan felt the weight of leadership heavier than ever. He called a meeting in the war room, gathering the commanders from both the human and Elysian fleets. "We've achieved a significant victory, but we must remain vigilant," Nathan began, his voice steady. "The Bruners will retaliate, and we need to prepare for their next move." The room buzzed with anxious energy as they discussed strategies and contingencies. Nathan felt a flicker of hope amidst the unease. The unity between humans and Elysian forces had strengthened. They were no longer just allies. They were a family bound by the shared experience of battle. "Captain, our scouts have reported increased activity in the Brunner sectors," an Elysian commander spoke up. "They're consolidating their forces, and we need to strike before they fully regroup." Nathan nodded, considering the options. "We can't wait for them to come to us. Let's take the fight to them. We'll launch a preemptive strike on their supply lines, cut off their resources, and disrupt their plans." The commanders agreed, the air thick with determination. They formulated a plan to attack key Brunner supply depots scattered across the sector, a bold move that could turn the tide in their favor. As the Relentless prepared for the mission, Nathan found himself reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. The sacrifices, the victories, the bonds forged in fire, all of it had led them to this moment. He had faced insurmountable odds, and yet he felt a sense of purpose guiding him forward. "Captain," Mira said, approaching him as the crew made their final preparations, "are you ready for this?" Nathan turned to her, seeing the concern etched on her face. "I have to be," he replied, his voice firm. "We're fighting for our future, for our people. We can't let fear dictate our actions." She nodded, her expression softening. "Just remember, we're in this together. No matter what happens, we stand united." With those words resonating in his heart, Nathan took his position at the helm as they entered hyperspace. The stars blurred into streaks of light, and he felt a renewed sense of determination coursing through him. The preemptive strike was executed with precision, the Relentless and its allied fleets moving swiftly through the Brunner sectors. They struck at supply depots, dismantling infrastructure that had once been a lifeline for the enemy forces. Each successful operation further chipped away at the Brunner's power, sending a clear message: humanity and its allies would not be silenced. "Captain, we've secured the last supply depot," the tactical officer reported, his voice brimming with excitement. Nathan felt a surge of pride. "Excellent work, everyone. This is a victory for us all." But the battle was far from over. The Bruners, enraged and desperate, launched a counter-offensive against their attackers, their fleets converging on the Relentless. "Captain, we're receiving distress signals from our scouts," Mira warned, urgency creeping into her tone. "The Bruners are regrouping faster than we anticipated. They're targeting us now." "Prepare for battle stations," Nathan commanded, adrenaline flooding his veins. "We need to hold our ground." The crew sprang into action, the bridge vibrating with a sense of purpose as they readied for the fight ahead. Nathan's mind raced with strategies, weighing their options as he faced the looming threat. The enemy fleets emerged from hyperspace, a dark wave of vessels surging toward them. Nathan felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, but he refused to waver. "Focus on their flagship first," he ordered. "If we take it down, the rest will scatter." As they engaged in battle, the Relentless fought with every ounce of strength they had. Energy beams clashed in a dazzling display of light, the chaos of war surrounding them. Nathan felt the thrill of battle coursing through him, a mix of fear and exhilaration. But just as it seemed they might gain the upper hand, a massive explosion erupted from the enemy's flagship. Nathan's heart sank as he watched the devastation unfold, realizing the explosion had come from within. "Captain, they're detonating their own ship," the tactical officer shouted, panic lacing his voice. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of here," Nathan commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos. The crew scrambled to respond, the relentless twisting and turning as debris filled the void. Alarms blared, and Nathan felt a surge of dread as he watched the enemy flagship disintegrate, sending shockwaves through the surrounding fleet. "We've lost several ships," the tactical officer reported, urgency in his tone. "Maintain our formation," Nathan shouted, his resolve hardening. "We won't let this be the end." They regrouped, facing the remnants of the Brunner fleet, which now looked weakened and disoriented. Nathan seized the opportunity, rallying his forces for one final assault. "Now, let's finish this," he commanded, a fire igniting in his chest. With the combined might of their fleets, they launched their final attack. The relentless surge forward, energy beams lancing through the darkness, striking down enemy vessels one by one. The exhilaration of victory washed over Nathan as he witnessed the enemy's forces crumble before them. As the last Brunner ship fell, silence enveloped the battlefield. Nathan felt a sense of profound relief wash over him. They had triumphed against the odds, standing together as one against tyranny. But even in that moment of victory, Nathan knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was a vast place filled with challenges, and humanity had proven itself a force to be reckoned with. "Captain, we did it," Mira exclaimed, her voice brimming with joy. Nathan turned to her, a proud smile on his face. "This victory belongs to us all. We fought for each other, and together we will face whatever challenges lie ahead." With the relentless standing tall amidst the stars, Nathan felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. They had shown the galaxy the strength of unity and resilience, and he knew they would continue to write their own story, a story of humanity's enduring spirit in the face of adversity. As the remnants of the Brunner fleet drifted into the void, Nathan stood on the bridge of the Relentless, his heart still racing from the adrenaline of the battle. The crew around him buzzed with excitement, cheers erupting as they processed their hard-won victory. Yet, beneath the surface of their celebrations, a weight loomed in Nathan's mind. They had defeated the Brunners, but at what cost? And what would the aftermath bring? "Captain," Mira said, stepping closer. "What are your orders now?" Nathan gazed out at the wreckage of the battlefield, the debris shimmering against the backdrop of distant stars. "We need to regroup and assess the damage. Contact our allies and let them know of our success. But we must also prepare for potential retaliation. The Brunners won't take this defeat lightly." Mira nodded, her expression serious. "Understood. I'll coordinate with the fleet." As Mira moved to relay his orders, Nathan turned to the tactical officer. "What's the status of our fleet casualties?" The officer hesitated, a grim look crossing his face. "We lost 3 ships and suffered significant damage to several others. Our crew's morale is high, but the loss is felt deeply." Nathan felt the weight of those words. Each ship, each crew member, represented lives intertwined with their mission. "We'll honor their sacrifice. Ensure that memorial services are held for those we lost." The officer nodded, and Nathan took a deep breath, steeling himself. They had emerged victorious, but the real work was just beginning.